Inequality and graph example. In this video, what we are going to do, we are going to consider an example of an inequality and then we will graph the inequality. So let's begin. Let's consider a first inequality, which is basically x plus y is less than 6. And I'm going to consider another inequality, the same inequality, but this is basically x plus y is less than or equal to 6. So basically we have two inequalities. One is with less than 6 and the other one is with less than or equal to 6. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to graph these inequalities. So in order to graph it, I need to consider a graph. So let's consider the graph. So this is my graph, where as you can see, this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. Now let's consider another graph for this inequality, which is over here, and again this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. Now let's graph the first inequality, which is basically x plus y is less than 6, and if we graph, we will get a line something like this. As you can see, the inequality is less than, and that's why we are considering a dotted line. And since this inequality is less than 6, this inequality is dividing the plane in two halves. One is upper half and the other one is lower half, and the inequality is less than, so basically we are not considering any point on this line. What we need to do, we need to consider all the values that is less than this line, which is basically the area under this line, which simply means we are considering this part of the graph, and we are not considering any value on this line because the inequality is just less than 6. Now let's graph our second inequality, which is x plus y is less than or equal to 6, and if we graph, we will get exactly the same line, but in this case we are considering all the values at this line and the values below this line, so basically this area of the plane. Now if you compare these two inequalities, which is basically this inequality right here and this inequality, you will see that everything is same except that the first inequality is not considering any value on the line, but the second inequality is considering all the values on the line as well as below the line, and that's the only difference between these two inequalities. And this is how we'll graph any inequality.